Welcome to episode 5 of trying every climbing gym in New York City. Today, I'm at Movement in Harlem, where I'm going to try and send every single V5. And at the end, I'll tell you where I'd put the gym on my tier list. But first, let's go over their training tools. They have hang boards, campus boards, a tension board 1, a moon board, and a spray wall. There's also a gym with free weights, a couple of racks, and some benches. On top of the cave wall, there's treadmills, a rowing machine, a bike, and some ellipticals. Their tags are really interesting. They mark each climb with a different style. At one end of the spectrum, they're straightforward and focus on strength, endurance, and flow. On the other end, they're complex and push you to learn new techniques and movements. Now, let's jump into the climbing, starting with this green V0. I love that it's not just a jug ladder. It has noodles and slopers, and the last hold is a thumb undercling, which forces you to find balance and put weight through your feet. Next up is this yellow V1. I really like how most of the holds are angled as side pulls and underclings. It's really helpful for beginners learning about direction of pull. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to match and bump your right hand, but I just cross over, which is a little harder than I expected. But overall, I really like these first two boulders. I think vert and slabby terrain allow for much more interesting movements, especially at the lower grades. I move on to this red V2. It's literally just a jug ladder in the cave. I'm not a fan of this one, but I guess there isn't too much you can do for the lower grades on steep terrain. I saw a bunch of interesting V2s later in my session, so I won't hold this one against them. Next up is this orange V3. It starts off with a mantle, and then you go up to a flat rail and traverse right. The holds on the right are slopey and a lot worse than I thought they would be, so I was holding on for dear life, but it's probably intended to force you to shift more weight onto your left heel. For the match, I can't see the foothold because of the giant rail, so I just throw my foot up high instead. But I really love this boulder. It covers basic techniques like mantles and heel hooks, and I like how it forces you to do this zigzag by traversing on both the rails. I move on to this white V4. It's a druggy traverse upwards and to the right. The last two holds are crimps. This climb is super flowy, so just sit back and enjoy some satisfying movement. I really like this part here. First, there's a dynamic crossover with a back flag. And then, there's a step through that sets you up perfectly to turn your hip in to go to the crimp. It's a bit mean to put the worst holds at the end, but overall, I love the movement of this climb. Next up is this orange V5. It starts on positive slopey holds, and you traverse right. The holds get crimpier here, and then you go straight up the arête for a tricky and slopey finish. I was thinking about getting my feet up high, but decided to just campus the first move. And from here, it's just a traverse with a lot of heel hooking. Here, I'm not sure what to do next. I choose to get a heel hook and cross over. I swap feet and turn my right hip in, but it's a really unstable position. I try the move again with a back flag instead, and it's a lot easier. These holds on the arête are slopey crimps, and it's hard to find a foot position to go to the higher one. Eventually, I find a bicycle that keeps me stable enough. The last move is surprisingly hard because the finish hold is a lot slopier than I thought it would be. I work the ending and find this right heel hook. It lets me move my left hand over, but it doesn't feel stable enough for the match. So I swap feet and sink under the sloper, and it feels a lot better. So time to try from the ground. This time, I try to keep my feet on for the beginning, But after the first move, you have to turn yourself around, which wastes a lot of time and energy. I definitely think campusing is more efficient for me. Overall, this boulder is pretty cool with a physical beginning and a technical finish. And there are like 4 heel hooks, so definitely good for practicing the basics. Move on to this pink V5. It starts on 2 good flat holds. Then, make a big move out to these flat half circles. You go right on flat underclings and finish on a jug. This first move is a lot bigger than I thought. I could barely span it. I try to bring my other hand over, but can't control the swing. I try flagging my left foot higher, but then I can't reach the hold. It seems a bit reachy, so I try a dyno, but the hold isn't in cut, and there's no way to stop your swing with your feet. I keep my flagging foot low, and I'm able to reach. And this time, I use my brain and put in a toe hook, which lets me bring my left hand over. With both hands on the hold, I can swing my feet over. Here, I throw in a heel hook and rock over it so I can reach some much crimpier flat holds. Then, I step up into the underclings. The last move is kind of uncomfortable because it's a huge crossover. I can't really find a comfortable foot position, so I just go for it. And luckily, it's a jug, and I'm able to control the swing. This boulder is an absolute banger, and I love the focus on fundamentals with the toe hook and rocking over a heel hook. Next up is this green V4. It's a traverse on positive holds that get progressively crimpier. There are a couple of positive slopey holds, and then you go straight up on more crimps and finish on the top edge. The beginning is pretty chill, and you can kind of choose your own beta because there are so many holds. There's this crossover to a crimp, and I wasn't ready for how bad it was. I go for the next hold and just violently fire off it, but luckily I was okay. This time, I was more prepared for it, and I'm able to make the move. But my left hand actually fires off again, but luckily, I was in a stable position. I was confused why they had so many holds for this top section, but the orange and white part of the wall is actually steeper than I realized, and it made the holds feel a lot worse. But it's cool, because this section adds an element of crossing over and unwinding. Overall, this boulder was just okay. Very straightforward and focused on basic movement and pulling hard on crimps. I'll move on to this yellow V5. It only has 3 holds. You start on a jug and dyno to this vertical pinch. Then you make another big move to a jug side pull. On my first attempt, I actually overshot the hold and couldn't control the swing. I try to stop my momentum with little foot hops, but just barely can't hold on. This time, my left foot slips and I pee my pants a little, but luckily, I'm okay. Again, my little foot hops almost kill my momentum, but I just slowly slide off. This time, I'm able to land it. The key was staying as far right as I can, so I can kind of lay back against the pinch. I kind of thought I could static the last move, but I quickly realized that ain't gonna happen. So I do a little hop, and luckily, the last hold is good enough to control the swing. I made quick work of the V5s in this room, so I decided to try a pink V6. It starts on jugs in a cave. And you make your way over to the top of a volume which has a jug and flat holds that make for good feet. And then you have a match finish on a little nub. The first part isn't so bad. You just use some heel hooks to move out onto the face. Everything kind of revolves around this right heel hook. It lets me match on the flat hold and then go up to the jug. From there, I can get a high right foot and rock onto it while mantling with my hands. Here, I get my knee up because I'm not flexible enough to get my foot up. Then, I have to do a little bit of a pistol squat until I can get my left foot up. Then, I can slowly reach over to the finish hold. I bring my right foot over, stick my left one out to the sloper for balance, and get the match. Honestly, this felt very soft for a V6, but it does a good job emulating an outdoor top out. You throw in a high right foot, and then mantle over it until you can get your feet up. I decide to see if I can climb even harder and try this white V7. It starts on in-cut crimps, and then the rest of the holds are slopey pinches. You finish on the top edge. The beginning part on crimps isn't too bad, but the slopey pinches feel a lot worse. I consider slopers and pinches to be big weaknesses, so combining them is about as anti-style as you can get. I try to dead point to the next hold, but can't really grab it. I work that move in isolation. I hit it on the right side and I'll hold it for like a millisecond longer, and it gives me an idea. I try going to the far right pinch, and although it might be easier to hold, it's a much bigger move and it's harder to keep tension through the feet. Honestly, there's so many different beta variations I could try, but I don't want to get too caught up on this problem, so I move on to the main room, starting with this green V4. The holds are a mix of these slopey crimps and these positive slopers with just a bit of friction on the edge. You go straight up and finish on the top edge. I have no idea what was going on in the main room, but it was super hot and humid compared to the first room. But anyway, this first sequence is basically entirely reliant on this left heel. The slopey volume holds aren't great, but the heel lets me go to a much better crimp on the left. These slopers were a lot worse than I thought they would be, and the feet are kind of awkward because they're so high. I turn my left hip in, but it's really weird. Maybe I could have gotten my left foot far out onto the crimp. This time, I keep my right hand low and swap feet. Then, I just go straight to the top edge to avoid the bad holds. Overall, it's just an okay climb with a very body position dependent finish. Next up is this red V5. It starts on two holds that are flat-ish with a bumpy texture. You go right to a crimp, and then up to a positive undercling with a crimp screw on. There's another flat-ish hold, and you finish on a slopey volcano hold. This start is pretty funny. I'm just slapping around like, where the heck is the crimp? And then I realize it's on the lowest volume. The move to the undercling seems pretty big, but then I realize I can get a toe hook and do the move statically. The rest of the climb is pretty straightforward. Overall, this boulder is just alright, but I like the toe hook. Move on to this pink V5. It starts on a couple of jugs, and you make some big moves right to volcano jugs. Then you go straight up on some nasty crimps. I wanted to do this first section without cutting feet, but I end up stepping on the dual text part of the hold and slipping off. The next hold is really far, and my right hand wet fires because of how hot and humid it is. I focus on that move. The hold is flat and small, so this time I full crimp it. I just barely miss the next hold and slip off the dual text. This time I get it, but the hold is so bad. Look at how much my arm is bending. And the rails above aren't much better. It may have looked chill, but that last move is desperate. I try to heel hook so I can at least get onto the textured bit, but it's so hard from this angle, and I cut feet again. Overall, this climb was fun with big moves on jugs in the beginning, and then there was a big move on crimps in the steep part, and the finish was very tensiony. Next up is this red V5. It starts with a mixture of flat holds and pinches. You traverse left until you hit some jugs. And then you go straight up and finish on a blocked crimp. This first part is really cool. The left foothold is kinda high, so you end up with these really awkward and tensiony moves. And the hand sequence is pretty flowy with the crossovers. These volumes don't feel great at this angle, but I find a heel toe cam, and I'm able to get to the next hold. The last move is pretty chill since you can get a heel hook and do it statically. I really love the movement on this one. I move on to this pink V5. It starts on a volume with the jib and a slopey jug undercling. You go to another slopey jug side pull and make a big move to a decent finish hold. It took me a bit to figure out the start, but I realized you jump into a mantle and grab the undercling. Once you get the side pull, you have to trust a high and slopey foot. I just barely missed the good part of the last hold, and it made me sad because that last move is scary. This time, I keep my right hand on the undercling. It helps me generate more force, and I'm able to stick the last hold. Overall, this is an absolute banger, despite only having 2 moves. Next up is this red V5. It's just a long jug haul in the cave. This move is pretty cool. It's so far that I have to do a really deep drop knee to cross over. This section confused me a bit. I grabbed the undercling as a Gaston, but I think you're supposed to go to the higher hold and grab the undercling once you move your feet up. But luckily, the holds are so good, I can kind of freestyle on it. I find this right heel hook to get the last hold, but it doesn't feel stable enough to match. I try to get my left foot over, but miss and end up cutting feet. So I just campus the match. But overall, I'm not a fan of this one. I move on to this blue V5. It starts on some mini jugs, and then you go straight up to some crimps on the volume. There's a slopey volcano, and then more crimps before finishing on a decent hold. This first move is a tensiony dead point with a high foot. Here, my foot slips when going for the volcano. This time, I notice a crimp below the volcano and go for that first. Then, I can get the volcano statically and work my feet out. The This last section is just steep tensiony moves on crimps, but luckily the last hold is good. This one felt a lot like a board climb. Not my favorite style for a gym set. Next up is this black V5. All of the holds are positive. Some of them are jugs, while others are blocky slopers. The start is pretty cool with this heel hook bicycle to do a pretty big move statically. This section has a lot of high feet, and a tip I like for these is that if you can get your knees on the inside of your arms, you can help keep your hips into the wall. You might not want that if you need the space to generate for a big move though. And after that, the climb is basically done. I try to get a really high right foot for the match, but it doesn't work, so I have to settle for a foot swap. Overall, I really like the movement. I move on to this white V5. It starts on a jug and a crimp. Then, I think you make your way up and to the left on more crimps. And for the finish, I think you're supposed to get a knee bar and go for a no hands match with your hands below on this tiny nub. I think the crux is moving out of the start. I get a toe hook and that lets me reach all the crimps on the volume statically, but then I get a little stuck. I move back down and try to slowly release the toe hook, but it's really hard. I test the ending to see what happens if I can get my feet free. I do this wacky heel hook to reach the far left crimp, but no way is that happening. I wonder if I could just put in the knee bar from there though. I try to figure out ways to release the toe hook, and I think about using momentum to go up to the juggy side pull. I couldn't find a way to stick it though. I tried a lot of beta off camera, but I couldn't figure out how to release the toe hook, and I couldn't figure out how to establish without the toe hook. But that is a banger of a boulder, and I really wish I was able to send it. Next up is this red V6. It starts on a positive nub and a jug. There's another jug, and then you go straight up to 2 positive side pulls. There's another positive nub, and then a blocked slopey side pull before finishing on yet another nub. The beginning is kind of weird. The left hand is a lot better, so I want to cross over, but I can't figure out how to do it statically. So I just cut feet and have to do this weird helicopter spin. I get the nub and try to cross over to the next hold, but I just barely can't reach. I move my left foot to a hold on the volume, but it's just a tiny smear. I don't trust it and go for the next hold too dynamically and come off. This time, I try to cross over to the nub, but it's a big move and hard to stay balanced. This time, I try to match on the nub, but my grip strength was giving out. I definitely think all of these methods could work though. I move on to this black V5. It starts on 2 pretty good crimps. But then the rest of the crimps are much smaller and blocked. The start is pretty awkward. The feet are high, so I try to just use the lower volume on the left, but I can't really generate. This time, I use the right volume. I can almost reach the next hold, but it feels like the volume is pushing me away from the wall. So this time, I turn my right hip in and almost latch the next hold. And finally, I'm able to get the move. I try to cross over, but the hold is so blocked that I can't even get my fingers on it. And the left side pull feels so bad when I'm below it. So I match the crimp and log off to the hold on the right. But it's also blocked, and I can fit less than 1/4 of a pad on it. I full crimp it and move my left foot up, but it's so high that it feels unstable and I can't make the move to the side pull. This time, I catch in a 3-finger drag. I was so scared of destroying my fingers, I decided to move on to this yellow V4. You start on a flat side pull and go up to 2 slopey dishes. You use another flat side pull to finish on a slopey dish. I get a backstep to go up to the side pull, but then I don't create any opposition, so it feels awful. I try to walk my feet up, but can't really move. This time, I create opposition by pressing my right foot into the dihedral. Then, I create opposition by mantling on my right hand, which lets me move my foot. And from there, I just rock over my right foot and I mantle against the side pole to stand up and jam myself in the corner. I wasn't really expecting much, but they really packed a lot of good movement into this boulder. Next up is this black V5. All of the holds are pretty big and flat. You traverse left and then go straight up. The feet are these super slopey volumes, which I don't get a lot of practice on. I couldn't trust my feet at all. This next move is surprisingly hard. It felt barely out of reach. I worked that beta a lot off camera, and I think if I turn my left hip in, I can reach it pretty statically. I try to use the higher volume on the left, but it feels even sketchier. This one just felt impossible, so I move on to another black V5. It's just a bunch of positive pinches in a ladder. And you finish on the top edge. This one is pretty straightforward, but I do like the compression and the heel hooks. Next up is another black V5. All of the holds are slopers. Right off the bat, you have to get a high right foot and then rock over. There's another high foot, and I was afraid I wasn't flexible enough. I'm pointing my toes, raised my heel a couple of inches, and I was able to get it on. Then, I used this triangular side pull undercling to rock over it and stand up. I get a toe hook and go up to the last hold, but it's a lot worse than I thought it would be. I feel around up there, but can't really find a good part. This time, I just commit to the match, but I'm not stable. This time, I toe hook the rightmost hold. This lets me lean over to the left, which puts more weight on my left foot and makes the finish hold marginally better, and I'm able to get the match. Overall, this is a pretty cool boulder with high feet and rockovers along with a very tricky finish. I move on to this white V5. All of the holds are slopers and pinches. You start by traversing right and then go straight up the arete. The last hold is an awful sloper. This one is really similar to the orange V5 we did at the beginning. I start off with a heel hook, but it feels bad, so I go out to the next hold first. Then I'm able to place the heel and start moving. I didn't leave enough room for the heel hook, so I place it pretty badly and end up falling. This time, I place my heel below my hand. I'm able to reach the first pinch and match on it. I think about going to the next pinch, but it's upside down and looks very slopey. So I try to skip it and go to the pinch around the arete, but I can't generate. This time, I trust the pinch and it turns out to be pretty good. I get my right foot up and want to turn it in, but it's so cramped, I end up opening my hips even though I'm on my outside edge. The ending is super delicate because the last holds are slopers. I try to get a toe hook for the match, but it doesn't feel stable. And then I fall in the move around the arete. I decide to put in one last attempt because I can feel my forearm strength giving out, especially near the top. I know for the last move, I should swap feet and stay below the sloper, but I'm too pumped and try to pincer the arete with my right foot, and unfortunately, it doesn't work out. So next up is this blue V5. It starts on a dish and you go out to a hold with two pretty decent features. You go up to a sloper and then have to figure out how to get over to the right and match on a slopey pinch. The bottom part is pretty chill, but the last move is the crux. You obviously want to mantle, but I'm not sure how to stop yourself from falling outwards. I work on the ending and find that if I can fully extend my left arm, that I can backstep into the dish for the match. This time, I put my left hip into the dish so I can press up into the last hold. Then, I can turn my left palm outwards and fully extend my arm. And then, the ending is just like I practiced. The boulder is kind of a one-move wonder, but I'm proud of how quickly I was able to figure it out. For the last climb, I move on to this white V5. It starts on two jugs, and you have to mantle to stand on top of them. Then, you move right to more jugs, before standing on a volume and matching on a little nub. The crux is this last sequence. I can't figure out how to get to the last hold if I'm standing on the foothold with my right foot. So I drop back down and try to cross through with my left foot, but it feels awful. So instead, I try to step through to the volume with my left foot, but unfortunately, I'm not able to make it work. This time, I have trouble getting my right foot up during the mantle. I'm not really sure what changed. Maybe I didn't extend all the way through my left foot, or maybe it's a flexibility thing. I step through, but it feels impossible to shift weight onto my left foot. So then I come up with the idea to swap feet. The foothold is pretty small and smeary, but with the jug left hand, I'm able to do it. And from there, I'm able to get my right foot out and slowly shift weight onto it. I just barely can't reach while keeping the left foot, so I lunge a little and I'm able to land it. Overall, this is a great boulder. It has a physical mantle to start and a delicate foot swap and ending. Unfortunately, I was not able to climb every V5, but at least I was able to get most of them. So, after my session, what do I think about Movement Harlem? For training tools, they have almost everything. A good gym, hangboards, campus boards, tension board, moon board, and spray wall. And the route setting was a good mix of traditional and comp styles. I really liked how they focused on the fundamentals, especially heel hooks. I do think the gym is soft though. I was able to flash a V6, and off camera, I was able to put some moves together on a V7 and a V8. So if you're an advanced climber, I'm not sure if there are enough challenging boulders. So with the great training tools and good but soft setting, I'll put this gym in A tier. What do you think of Vital Upper West Side? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you're interested in more New York City climbing gym reviews, check out this playlist right over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!